Hi, I'm Joe Scott Apparel, and welcome to On Location. All right, today I got somebody that I just so much admire. I respect him. He came in young and raw and just blew past everybody, including myself. And he's a longtime friend. Welcome, Matt Swensen.
Wow, thank you. What an intro.
You deserve
Sure.
every bit of it. And I will not be calling you Matt from here to the end of this.
That's fair.
He's known as Swen, and I'm gonna, if I try to say Matt, I'm gonna say Swen anyway. So anyway, so let me just give a brief setup of what Swen does, and then he can go into more detail on how he does it. He first came in as one of those young computery guys who was hacking around doing graphics and playing around with all the new apps at that time, which was a lot of the Adobe stuff. And my favorite part is he's got no formal education in this. He was doing this tinkering in high school. Kind of got that Thomas Edison playing in a garage, Steve Jobs tinkering around and just figuring out how stuff worked. But he just got better and better at it. He's moved on. He's now also a team photographer for the New York Giants. He is a motion graphic designer. He is a fashion designer. I mean, that's why he got the intro he got, because the dude's awesome. I mean, there's not too many people that I would say I respect for multiple talents. He's one of them, and he's half my age. Yeah, no, probably half. So anyway, all right, Matt, I'm done talking. So first off, tell us what you're doing exactly now and for who.
Right now, I'm the manager of photography and graphic design for the New York Giants primarily. And then on the side, I do various 3D work and motion design work.
Various. Just for the hell of it, or you actually work it and get paid for it?
Well, I'm trying to, I just love all the new stuff that's coming out. So I try to keep myself up to date with all the technology. And then if there's a project through connection that I can do, then I'll try to take it on if I have time.
Okay, yeah, time is a big problem for you. There's
Yeah.
a lot of time. So work, it may sound strange to people. The photography part they may get when you say New York Giants. The motion graphic part may sound odd when you're talking about a football organization. Explain how that kind of dovetails into everything the Giants do.
Yeah, so when I first interned here with you, back when the design part was like for TV shows and web shows, or just TV shows, and then web shows became a thing. So then the graphics for the web shows became a thing, and then social media came about. So there's a whole world of that needs graphics, and the motion graphics are the entire game day presentation. Yeah, TV, web. There's just a need for almost everything, just as any commercial business.
Yeah, and we're not talking about some simple, hey, this is Matt Swensen stuff. I mean, we're talking about some very elaborate motion transitions coming in and out of commercials, bumpers going out. And then you're talking about, like you said, in stadium, on those boards, there's a lot going on. And there's a lot going on everywhere in any stadium, not just there. So, and your graphics are prominent front and center on a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, especially this season, we did the entire redesign in-house for the entire stadium package. So that's basically like creating, you know, the game presentation kind of leads the fans into the feeling of the game. So we have to keep the graphics matching the vibe of the game to keep the fans interested and in the momentum and cheering and going on. So it's a whole package of high energy, fast moving, and clearly read uh, prompts.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing is knowing how not to clutter. My whole thing was don't do it because you can, do it because you need to.
Right.
And you do that extremely, extremely well. Uh, it's interesting. I had somebody on not too long ago who does a lot of the Giants. Actually, he does a lot of about 5 different sports teams. He does their in-game presentation. He's a director. He's an audio guy. And he talked a lot about the energy and what you have to do to keep a game moving. So he's on the audio side of that, and you're complementing that, or he's complementing the visual side of what you do.
Yeah, they go hand in hand. There's without the game presentation, it'd be dead silent. And if you've ever been to any sporting game, you're not really thinking about it because it's just going with you. But the music that they're playing and the visuals that you're seeing are playing so much into your experience of the game that it wouldn't be the same without it.
Yeah. And having produced around pro sports for a good part of my life, the other thing is the players are engaged to what's going on. So that has a lot to do with what you're putting up on those boards, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So primarily a lot of this stuff comes in on the defense because you want the crowd to get really excited and really loud. So we around second down and third down the most. We put up like third down, make noise, get loud, and and the players will see that, and then they'll start getting up, like getting excited. They'll get into it. The music will be a little more up tempo or something relatable, and it gets everybody going. When the fans see the players going, then they like are more enticed to keep like get
How
excited.
much of a rush is that for you to be sitting there and seeing your work the size of a skyscraper blasting around?
It is still sometimes you gotta pinch yourself, but like you get jaded after a while. I'm not gonna lie, but it when you take a step back, which is something that you've always said,
Right.
um, you gotta take a step back and look around, and it's incredible. I mean, our boards at MetLife are I think 140 feet wide or more, and there's 4 of them, and then on top of that, we have 3 ribbon boards. So it's a lot of real estate in the stadium to take up.
And the best part about it is I'm sure you have a huge team working on these graphics with you that help pull this all together.
We have a couple people that work on the graphics, yeah, but yeah,
It's primarily yours.
yes, the primarily it comes from me, yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk more and more about your creative itself and move away from the job a little bit. Where do you generate? Again, you've crossed over so many places, and I want to even get into your photography. But where do you generate that creative muse from? Where does that motivation come from?
Um, I think honestly, it comes from learning, and I've always wanted to learn more about like just the way things work, and I'm just kind of just a nerd at heart. So when I see something like when I first started getting into like 3D work, the program looked like so intimidating, and then like you could see what people are making with it, and I was like, well, how does that work? How do you take this to get to that? Like, how do you start with a cube and then all of a sudden it ends up in this? You created a whole world. So I was always interested how to do it and how it works and the workflow of that whole thing. So I'd just do deep dives and then find an outlet to kind of push that too.
And that's on your own too, because you're not. I mean, you don't have a 6 tier of animators ahead of you that you can go and draw on. So how do you go about that as an professionally in that environment? You don't have that. So I
Right.
don't know if there's a support on the outside or if that you just have a bunch of ways to learn. Walk through that a little bit.
So the support comes from inside. It's pushed to make the work better and do whatever you like. I have a lot of freedom to create. And if I want to say with like we need to change this or we need to enhance this, then that's all there. But As far as the learning side, I've found it all through like a great support network on the internet through Twitter or the various like communities, and I've learned everything I know basically from like mentors and people on the internet.
That's awesome. That because I mean nobody really believes that that is a thing that you can do that. That's it's especially an old guard, they're going to look at that and go, no, you need to sit next to a mentor and an apprentice. You have to learn at the foot of a master. But in actuality, that's what that is, right? I mean, I know Creative Cal was one of those communities early on for you.
Yeah, Creative Cow was huge back when I was learning After Effects. They were like the at that time like one of the only sources that were like giving out stuff for free. And then a lot of stuff was still like you were saying like guarded, so people weren't sharing it. And then I forgot I can't what year it was. It all there's just this breakthrough where I think the younger like the kind of like the second wave of people were coming through, like the generation older than me, like one older than me, were they teaching
Right.
um, on the
So
internet. Not
if
not
you
that they
get
weren't
jammed
before.
up, like let's say you're trying to do something and it's something different you've never approached before, or a part of the technology you haven't touched. What's your go-to at that point?
The first thing I honestly do is just Google the problem. You're like, how do you connect or the node three to blah blah blah? Come up with this error, and you'd be surprised about the community itself is huge. Like the amount of designers and animators out there is incredibly large. So there's always somebody out there to answer it, or there's always or if that doesn't work, if no one's had this crazy problem, then you're either doing something wrong, or I'll reach out to one of my friends now that I've made through all these connections to ask them directly, like, hey, how would I solve this?
So that's another point. So I mean, you have peers now that you may or may not have ever actually met, but you
Right?
share your information, correct?
Yeah, yeah. The like I call them friends, but like they're like you said, it's just they're internet friends. We're not coworkers, but what would you call that?
They're peers. I mean, they're
Yeah,
just
peers. Yeah, peers. We never met, but I feel like I know them. We talk like it's just been great. Been able to reach out to people to figure it out.
And are you pretty comfortable with giving away some of your trade secrets or some of your tricks?
I wasn't at first. I kind of guarded it myself, but now that I'm older, like it's it's one of those things where you can't be afraid to give it out.
Right.
Like it's better to share, and it'll make everybody better. And if you share how you did something, then the next person might share how they did something else, and you might learn, like, oh, maybe if I take that little trick and make it this, then it'll render faster, or I could accomplish this that I couldn't do before, or something like that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, all of those things. Let's make a move again. Let's go to photography. How did that kick in?
So the photography thing's always it's always been. I started originally doing video stuff on my with my friends, like making music videos, and I've always been into photography and video, um, but I never really had like an outlet for it. And working with like through the Giants, the photography thing became like a need right when social media was going off, and I was just in the right place in the right time to kind of like pick that up and work with their team photographer. And once he kind of signed off on it, I kind of learned with him and became shooting almost every day, and to now every single day.
Yeah, and you're talking about a lot of variations of shooting, where in the other world, there used to be, well, I'm a studio photographer and I shoot these things, and then or I'm a field photographer and I shoot these things. You're
Yeah.
all of those things now.
Yeah. So sports photography or team photography is a complete animal. It's there is no specialty type. There's no division that you are. We do everything from the portraits to practice to corporate meetings to campaigns. You know, it's not if you could shoot it, it's when can you shoot it
Right.
type deal. So
Right.
it's
Right.
it was definitely a lot more than I could chew at first, but now I've become pretty comfortable with shooting various types of situations.
And I'm gonna move you out a little bit because there's a lot to shooting. I mean, there's a lot to photography. There's a lot of things you have to know. I mean, it honestly is a career just unto itself because you have to know your
Absolutely.
lenses, you have to know speeds, you have to know a lot of things that are based in it. Which camera can do what camera is better for that. But the other side of that is lighting because when you're in the studio, that's a whole other set of compliments that you're responsible for, I assume, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So where
Um,
where did you pick that up?
the lighting photography I also picked up online through different courses and classes, and then building that. Then kind of like the same workflow. You know, I met different people. I reached out to photographers asking how to do certain things, sending them sample images, saying like, "Hey, how come that background isn't like flat, or how come I'm getting like this weird thing?" And people were willing to help. And then I PA'd on like a bunch of shoots outside of here and started learning from them, being an assistant. So kind of breaking out of the internet a little bit because photography is, I mean, 100% hands on. So,
Right.
I mean, you could tell somebody like they need to put a light here, or they need to use this modifier or something, but you really need to be there. So I started going on shoots, um, just like kind of apprenticing a little bit until I kind of had a good grasp on what I was doing.
You just hit on something that I'm going to take on the side. That you, at your point in your career, you really shouldn't have to go on something as an intern, as an apprentice. I
Right.
mean, but you're smart enough to recognize, well, I want to learn this. I don't have any contributing value to this, so I'm going to get back, so I'll give them that,
Right.
which I'm still doing it. I mean, things that happen now that I'm like, wow, I don't know anything about that. I need to know that. And I
Yeah.
shouldn't be, but I still have no problem going out and not getting paid.
Yeah, I think it's it's again, it's like something that like I wouldn't probably have admitted when I was younger, but it's one of those things where like you have to ask for help if you don't know, or you have to be willing to step out and ask and try to, you know, to reach out to anybody that will help and admit you need it. And you just got to be willing to keep learning, I guess.
Do you think not having a formal education in any of these is that a problem or is that a help?
Um, in my experience, I think it's helped because I don't think where I am now doing I mean, I love what I do, and I don't think I would, if I went down the formal route, I think maybe I would have got pigeonholed doing one thing. But the way I went, I've experienced like three different career paths, and the way that it's kind of set up now, they all kind of merge together. So I use all three skills kind of like hand in hand, or two skills hand in hand. Um, and like it's all my work is like all my work is heavily influenced uh through photography and design.
Yeah, I because you keep talking about 3D, and I've seen,
Yeah.
obviously I've been around 3D modeling and 3D design. You're actually doing lighting and you're actually doing camera positions and you're actually doing depth of field and all the terms that you would use in real life, you're also using in a digital format. So I could see where those two things become very advantageous to merge them together or to know at least experience it. That real world experience of when I put this light here, that happens. Or I can go over here and model it and then go over here and redo it. Am I off base or is that actually how it works?
No, that's definitely how it works, especially now in the new trend of product modeling, like 3D product lighting and stuff like that. It's 100% photoreal and uses real world textures and real time rendering such as like Octane and Redshift, and it the light you put in the scene is realistic of the light that you would have in the real world, and a reflection of the room, type stuff to talk it down. You would use an actual image of the room that you want to reflect on the image, and it's all mimicking the real world.
So you're basically virtually creating an environment that is real and has all of the attributes of a real environment, except you can do it digitally, and then you can kind of expand it beyond that.
Yeah, absolutely. For photoreal type, like product type stuff, it's absolutely like that.
That's crazy. And you have a third piece to this, and I don't know how much of that you're still doing, but you were doing a lot of apparel design. Is that still part of your repertoire when you have the time? And how did that all dovetail into what you were doing?
It's not as much anymore. It's kind of infrequent now. But in the beginning, in the last, I would say like 2018 to 2020, it was a huge part. Um, I I started doing that. It was based off design. I was working for like a couple different skateboard companies, just helping out with web graphics, and like banner ads and stuff like that. And through those connections, I got hit up to a smaller company that was looking for an apparel design type gig, and I said I could do it, which I didn't think I could, and made a couple funky shirts that then the one guy ended up loving, and everybody else ended up hating, but they printed it, and it kind of started from there, and I started bouncing around a couple places, freelance.
And how different is that? I mean, when something appears on, so now you're on the 100-mile boards up in the sky. You're on every digital platform there is, and then you're also on a shirt or a hoodie or a jacket.
Yeah.
Are they different?
I think the shirt one was the apparel stuff is way cooler to me at the time. It was a lot of fun doing, and it was just a world that wasn't in, and didn't know how it worked, didn't know the process of start to finish, and I was wrong every time. You send the file out, you're like, yeah, here's the final file, and they're like, no, it's not. You need to do this to it. It needs to be this format. So it was a really good learning experience as well. But I mean, it's just a whole nother world. Anybody can you can make like anybody can go to your local print shop and get their name on a shirt, but when you're talking about at scale and with an art director and a creative director and a marketing department, it's another beast. So it's exciting to be tossed into that for a little bit.
Thank you for the segue that you just gave me. Moving into all of us who are, our whole world is ego driven. I mean, we know what we know. We're creative at what we do, and we believe in our creativity and our ideas. How hard is it, or how hard was it for you to learn to, because I know you learned, to accept other people's opinion about your work, especially when you really believed in the design or the creation that you had come up with?
Yeah, it was hard. It was real hard at first, and that's maybe where the formal education could have helped in, because a lot of that is built-in criticism of your work, and learning from that.
Yeah,
So
good point.
when you're on your own, you're kind of like, who's gonna tell me no type stuff. You're like, I think it's cool, why not? But hearing that from somebody that you're expecting money from or you're hired the work to do, it's way different because you put your heart and soul into it and you believe in it, and they're like, I don't think this is gonna sell. Um, it's different when it's like maybe make this bigger, maybe move that around, make our logo a little bit bigger, stuff that makes sense. But when you make a shirt and they're like, no, it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm no good. It takes a while to learn to appreciate feedback, I guess.
Right. And you have to also appreciate feedback that's useless, because that's a lot of what comes down in our business. It's people who don't know what they're doing or saying are saying the wrong thing about what you know is right, but they're cutting the check. So you have to kind of learn to just, all right.
Yeah, a lot of that. Yeah, you gotta learn. You gotta know who it's coming from. You gotta learn when to pick your battles. Make typical design thing you always hear. It's like when somebody tells you to make the logo bigger, and you fight it. If it's our logo, their logo, whoever's logo at the end, make the text bigger. I can't read it. It's all things that you just gotta take. You gotta learn to pick and choose which one you're gonna fight. If does it really matter to the piece? Is it really afflicting it? It's definitely another thing that is not written down, but you need to learn.
Yeah, and that does take that takes a lot of sucking it up, because it's probably the hardest lesson I ever had to learn, is because when I'm creating something and I have an idea, I know it's right.
Yeah.
I know it's good. I don't care. I know exactly what it is. And I have to tell you, I work with a lot of designers and a lot of animators, and one of the common threads in all of them are, all right, well, then go somewhere else. They just stop. They don't care.
Yeah, it's there is definitely, like you said, there's a lot of ego involved, and if it's not me, my way or the highway type stuff. But it's definitely something you gotta learn with. Like, hey, at the end of the day, I look at, like, we're making art, but it's not getting hung in the Louvre as much as I would like to think it is in my head.
Right.
Like, we're in my field, we're making commercial art. So at the end of the day, the guy that's paying you is going to have an opinion, and you're going to have to learn to deal with it.
Okay, we got to wrap, but I want to get to the last part of this, because I love the creative conversation with you, because you've touched on so many different places in the world that you come at it so differently. Which to you would you say is easier? Is it easier when somebody gives you some inspirational pieces and says, create something that feels like this? Or when somebody says, here's 6 elements, combine them, and then gives you another piece and said, so it looks like that?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think I work better having an open road. So, like, kind of unbounded. I think when a lot of things are handed to me saying, here's the 5 things you need to work with, then I usually have trouble. I can only see them coming together in one way, and a lot of times that's not. You find yourself arguing with somebody, like, a lot on the feedback, saying that figure out a different way. So when there's an open road, I feel like you could produce multiple variations, and the ideas kind of flow faster to me.
Cool. And which is your favorite of all the things you do?
Ooh.
Which gives you the biggest inspirational rush?
It's honestly, it changes all the time, but honestly, project by project. But I think right now photography is where my heart is, and I always trying to find a way, even when I'm designing, to work photography into it somehow. It's like, oh, maybe we could, maybe I'll go out and shoot this and we'll work it in or something like that. So I definitely think photography is my passion right now.
And photography, are you including Photoshop into that, or are you talking just straight through the glass and out?
I think, like, straight through the glass and out. The more I can get it, which I know is a big departure from our past conversations that we've had, but I try to get everything, on set and everything. I try to get 99% of it done in camera, and if I can get that file, on my computer and delivered with minimal correction, that's the goal.
Yeah. And I have to say, it's funny that you and I have we've kind of had this battle forever, where I'm a purist and I said, no, if you can't do it in your camera, you can't do it. And you would say, no, it's more creative if you can take that image and do things with it you can in Photoshop. Probably because I can't do what you can do in Photoshop is why I always just denounced that and said, no, that's not good, because I can't do that. But since now you've passed me both in photo and in the digital world, I just have to sit back and go, I guess he's right, no matter what he says. So that's kind of cool. I mean, again, I admire your creativity. I
Well,
admire. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was gonna say I came around to seeing what you meant. I value the art in getting it right the first time and not saying, I could just change the sky later. It's like, no, shoot it the right way and get it the real way. Then you have an image.
It did kind of always make sense to me. But again, because I don't have those chops, so I guess both sides were both sides until you got up to the mechanical photo world. Until you got to know all your tools on the camera and what you can do with them and all the composition that's around it. Then when you got that, then you realized, oh, okay, well, I can do that here. But there's a big difference, and maybe that's the last thing we're going to talk about. When you're working digitally, you're working in a bubble. You're an ISO. You're usually by yourself in front of your computer in a very just you and your gear environment. When you're doing photography, it's usually there's more people. It's a more collaborative. You have talent, you have lighting, you have other people all around you, art directors. Which of those is really the real Swensen?
uh, Probably the one in the room locked away.
Yeah.
The one thing that I would love to improve upon is speaking and communication on set and like directing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really have to push myself on shoots to because when you're the photographer, especially in the situation I'm in now, like you're directing the whole shoot. So you're directing the talent, you're directing your crew if you have it. So you really need to step out, make everybody comfortable, and that's not really me. So I really have to push myself out of my comfort zone to do that.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing you can develop. All right. So as we close, where's Swen go from here? I don't want you to jeopardize your gig. So what creatively is going to challenge you as you move forward?
I think more kind of like creative directing, or I know that's incredibly overused now on the internet, but um, I think more real world work, more commercial work. Um, I love I love being out in the field now, um, shooting. So whatever that leads me, really.
All right, cool. And when you say field, you have that's a double meaning for you.
Not just the football field.
Okay. So all right. Swen, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. God bless. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, cool. We'll talk soon. Bye.
Sounds good.